Hello, students. Welcome you all to a new class of environmental science. As you can see a picture, you can relate that on which topic I'm going to deliver my talk today. That is radioactive pollution and what are its impact on the human health. So first we'll see what are radioactive substances or what is a radioactive rays. Okay. So of course, there is, despite the average of a nuclear as a clean energy, okay, a big concern is the waste result from the nuclear reaction that is in the form of pollution. It's called as a radioactivity or radioactive pollution. So, the radiations which are referred to ionizing radiations, okay, which are emitted from the this nuclear reactions. So this may be as opposed to the other non-ionizing radiation that is UV, infrared and microred. Okay. So what is the actual radiations which are coming out from the this nuclear reactions? Okay, these are the radioactive reactions or the rays. So radiations is emitted from the radioactive substances as they spontaneously decay and take several forms. So according to their wavelength, okay, and according to their persistence, their penetration power, these are classified into in different groups or different types. Okay, out of which what you can observe that is X-rays or the gamma rays, alpha rays, all are considered as ionizing radiations, and these are more harmful or the as compared to the non-ionizing radiations. Okay, because the wavelength is short or the low, the more energy is there in these rays. So what we are going to understand about what is a radiation. Okay. Now there are three types of radiations which are commonly observed, okay, or that emit during different day-to-day life activity. The first one is alpha ray, beta ray, and gamma ray. So if we place a paper, then alpha rays are not able to transmit from the paper. Okay. The next one is beta rays that can pass through the body, okay, but they cannot pass through the aluminum foil. The next one is gamma rays, as they can pass from the body and aluminum foil also, but they cannot pass through lead. The next rays is X-rays, okay, that can pass through paper, human body, aluminum foil, and lead, but they cannot pass through a lead. The next one is neutrons, as they can pass all this material, but they cannot pass through water. And the last one is neutrions, that these can pass through even water also. Okay, but we are in a close association with or the rays which are produced usually near the vicinity of a human body are alpha, beta, gamma, and X rays. Okay. So gamma rays have the most penetrating power of common types of radiation, but neutrons have the most penetrating power of all because it can pass the water and the earth's surface also. Okay. So these are the general information about uh, what about radioactive rays. Okay. Now Earth's environment is usually radioactive due to the cosmic radiations. Okay, and which are emitted even from space and terrestrial radiation emitted from the Earth crust. So that was general introductory part of about radiation or what is non-ionizing radiation or the radioactive rays. Okay, and which part or the which waves they are emitting. Our main concern or about topic is nuclear hazards and human health risk. Okay, so nuclear hazard means the nuclear rays or the radiations which are emit out. So radioactive substances are present in nature and they undergo natural radioactive decay, which is unstable isotopes spontaneously give out fast moving particles, high energy radiation, or both at a fixed rate until new stable isotope is formed. Okay, so that is a general thing. I think all you know. That is the chemistry is compulsory for you. So radioactive substances are present in nature and they may be present in the universe or they may be cosmic energy or on the earth crust. So they are actually try to form an isotope. Okay? So the isotope release energy either in the form of gamma rays, that is a high energy electromagnetic radiation, or ionizing particle, that is alpha particle, beta particle, etc. Okay. The alpha particles are fast moving positively charged particle, where beta particles are high speed negatively charged particle. The ionization radiation have variable penetration power. That concrete wallpaper would variable penetration power of ionizing radiation emitted by radioisotopes. So the penetration power that we have seen right now, that is alpha cannot pass through paper, beta can pass through human body, but cannot pass through aluminum foil. That is about a penetration power. So alpha particles can be interrupted by sheet of paper, while beta particles can be blocked by a piece of wood or few millimeters of aluminum sheet. The gamma rays can pass through paper, wood, but can be stopped by concrete, cannot be, sorry, can be stopped by concrete wall, lead slab, or water. Okay. But out of these three rays, alpha, beta, and gamma, the gamma rays are more harmful to human body because it can pass through the human body or the even cells. Okay. Now, after that, we can talk about what are sources of radioactive substances or the radioactivity. So, various sources of radioactivity can be grouped into natural sources and anthropogenic, that is, man-made sources. What are natural sources? Sources of natural radioactivity include cosmic rays from outer space, radioactive radon 222, soil, rocks, and water, and food. That should be air. Okay, rocks, air, water, and food, which contain one or more radioactive substances. Okay. Now, along with that, the radon 222, there is a one more example is called as a potassium 40. Okay, that is present in a water or the sea water. Now, what is another source of radioactivity or the substances? That is anthropogenic sources. The sources are nuclear power plant, nuclear accidents, X-ray, diagnostic kits, test laboratories, etc., where radioactive substances are used. So nuclear power plant, that all we know, for the generation of energy, we need this kind of plants or the projects. The nuclear accidents, so in the past, there were so many uh, accidents were reported regarding nuclear accidents, and we have seen so many health hazards or the ill effects of nuclear accidents. Then X-rays, that we are commonly going for the diagnostic test. Okay, that is X-ray. Then diagnostic kits and test laboratories. Suppose there is a project which is going on, the different or project is going on which is required a radioactive substance. Okay, even to identify certain substance likewise or to label certain substance. In that case, it is also a source of nuclear energy or the radioactivity where the radioactive substances are used. Okay, so that is each type of radiation has different properties and different penetrating power, that all we know, and depending on that, uh, the health hazards are known, or that the intensity of the, you can say, the hazardous effects we can see. So along with that, the gamma radiation, the X rays are also deeply penetrating, and these are also strongly ionizing rays. Okay, now what are the effects of radiation, or the what are the different sources of radiation? Okay, the nuclear power plants, as we know, along with that, the nuclear weapons. Okay, that the testing is done for the nuclear weapons, nuclear bombing, such as what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Okay, will create a vast and thorough devastation in a short time. Along with that, the transportation, that is transportation of nuclear waste from one place to another by any form of transportation, that is maybe air, land, water, sea. Okay, that will be possible to serious hazardous to the environment if they are not maintained carefully or facing accidents. Okay, that thing that is comes under nuclear accident. Now, along with that, the one more aspect which we should take in a consideration, that disposal of nuclear waste. Okay? So, to decaying process of radioactive waste take a very long time in progress. Okay? So, some radioactive substances have half life more than 10,000 years. So, which means a dangerous in the ground amount of time. Okay? So, the common ways of disposal of nuclear waste, that is which is generated from any kind of, for example, medical use or mining. Okay? But burying under the ground very deeply and burying under the sea, and even and the idea that they send them to the outer space. Okay, but however, we are trying to shift them way away from the habitation, but still these are dangerous and expensive. Okay, and the science is still finding the way by which we can solve this problem. And the last one is biggest source of radioactive substances is uranium mining. Okay, as we know, there is a news came in the last one, that is we have found near the Madhya Pradesh a big mine which is for uranium. Okay, so uranium substance that used in a nuclear power plant, and it is harvested from uranium mining. So this mining results in a radioactive waste that pollutes the surrounding environment. So these are the general sources by which radioactive substances are emitting out. Now, what are the effects on radiation or the impacts of these hazards or the nuclear hazards? Okay. The first thing is ionization radiation can affect living organisms by causing harmful changes in the body cells and also changes at the genetic level. Okay. What does it mean? The radiation affects living organism through damage to DNA. That is the meaning of cell, and a genetic level means at the DNA. Okay. So how does it happen, or the how these things are harmful or the hazardous at that much that it can penetrate till the genetic level? Now, if we compare the other pollutions, that is air pollution, okay, water pollution, soil pollution, or even a thermal pollution. The effects are we cannot observe on the cells. Okay, of course, there are certain substances that are responsible for cancer, but these substances or the radioactive substances are harmful because their penetration power is very high. So they can reach up to the cells. Now, one more thing is the dose and how much time the exposure is there. Both these things or both these criteria are responsible to determine whether mutation is going to happen or not. Because once you got exposure of ionizing radiation or these radiations, you're not going to suffer directly by any kind of cancer or mutation. But if your day to day life, if you're continuously working with these substances, okay, then there is a great chance that you can develop any kind of cancer or the misfunctioning of the any organ, or you can see changes at the genetic level, that means at the DNA. So mutations in the structure of DNA can be lethal, that means very harmful, or that may be die, okay, or the killing type, or may other result in the sublethal deformities, okay, or dysfunction. Now, what is a mutation, or what kind of changes takes place? Now, suppose there is a great exposure for a longer period of time of any kind of radioactive substance, and of course, this suppose there are beta rays, they are penetrating inside the cells, and these are changing DNA. Okay, so what kind of changes you can observe? Either they can change any kind of base, that adenine, thymine, guanine, cytosine. That's all basic bases, you know that these structures are present in the DNA. This may alter the structure of any kind of bases or nitrogen bases. Now, once the sequence is changed, what happen in the next cycle? what happens usually in the next cycle? The same chain, same sequence is going to replicate, and the replicated sequence is transcribed into a mRNA, and that is translated into a protein, that is functional protein, which will do actual work in the body. Now, suppose there is a change in the sequence of the normal or the which is actual sequence. Now, what will happen if that code or if that region is responsible for the actual functioning, or that region codes for the functional protein? Okay. Now, as there is a change because of a mutation, then the protein which will form, it will be non-functional. So it is going to hamper any kind of pathway or any kind of process or organ. Okay. That's how it is harmful. Now, maybe suppose it is affecting the cell cycle. That means our cells are also dividing with the certain kind of processes, right? Mitosis and meiosis. Now, suppose it is harming or it is interfering with the cell cycle. In that case, what will happen that because of any kind of a mutation, it will trigger a very uncontrolled growth of that cells or the group of cells. And usually we call them as a tumor. And when it passes or the spread throughout the body and affecting different organs, then we can say it is a cancer. Okay. So this kind of disformities or dysfunctions can be observed because of radiation. Now, along with that, what are the different effects you can observe in a marine ecosystem? Okay, that is, suppose bottom living fish are likely to be get exposed because of a radioactivity. Why? Because the earth crust is also emitting radioactive substances or the radiations, and because of the absorption of radionuclide through the sediment. Okay, so like different changes you can observe in the human beings, same like the different plants or bottom living fishes are also experiencing this kind of effects or the hazards. Now, the genetic damages is caused by radiation, which induces mutation in the DNA and thereby affecting genes and chromosomes. The damage is often seen in the offsprings and may be transmitted to the several generations. Okay, because these are changes takes place in the uh, it's there are two types of cells, the somatic cells and the gametes. Okay, gametes means the cells which are responsible for the formation of sperms and ova. So the information is stored into sperms and ova, and that will transfer after the fertilization into a new baby. Okay, if the changes or the mutation takes place in the gametic cells, that will be transformed into a new generation. Okay, like the things which were happened in the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the descendants or the progeny after progeny is facing the same problem or the different problems, and in that case the gametic cells were damaged. So somatic changes includes burns, miscarriages, eye contact, cancer of bone, thyroid, breast, lungs, and skin. So what are somatic changes? Which are forming a body cells. Okay, that means limited to only that person. That cells are not going to transmit, or that cells are not going to take part in the formation of new life. Okay, that will include miscarriages, eye cataract, bone cancer of bone, thyroid, breast, and lung, skin cancer. Okay. Now, many scientists are of the view that due to body's ability to repair some of the damages, the adverse effects of radiation are observed only beyond threshold level. Okay, that I was telling you. Because for every mechanism, body is able to heal that issue for particular time or at a particular level. However, the group believes that even a small dose of radiation over a period of time may cause adverse effect. The belief that permissible limits of ionizing radiation should be further reduced. Okay. So damages caused by different types of radiation depends on the penetration power and the presence of sources inside or outside the body. Right? So alpha particles lack the penetration power, but they have more energy than the beta. They will be therefore dangerous when they enter the body by inhalation or through food. Okay, like various techniques we are using right now or nowadays for the preparation of food. Various instruments are involved. For example, the OTG or the microwave. Okay, the microwaves are involved for the heating the food. Okay. Then alpha particles cannot be penetrate the skin to reach internal organs, where beta particles can damage internal organs. Greater threat is posed by radioisotopes with the intermediate half-lives, as they have long time to find entry inside the body. So radioisotopes enter in the environment during mining of uranium. That means these radioactive substances get mixed or incorporated into different abiotic factors, suppose air, water, soil, and through which they can enter inside the human body. The radioactivity in earth crust enters the crops grown there and ultimately in human beings. Radionuclides enter the water bodies or the groundwater, coming in contact with the contaminated soil or rock. So radioactive iodine, that is I-131, accumulates in the thyroid gland for this cancer. Similarly, strontium, that is strontium 90, accumulates in the bone instead of calcium and causes leukemia and cancer of bone. So leukemia is a blood cancer, and the another cancer which is of bone marrow. Okay? That is because of the radioisotopes. Okay. Now this is the general. So first we'll see. Okay. Along with that, there are different, we can say, sources which are with which we are dealing day to day life. Okay. What are those? That is relative doses from radiation sources. The first is by the body scan, then radon, which is emitted from the earth crust or maybe bricks or the walls of the house. Then there is a cosmic radiation at the sea level, terrestrial activity, the nuclear power plant. Okay. Then X-rays, head CT scan, that is mammograph. That means breast checking is done to check the any kind of breast cancer. Then the radiation in the body and X-ray. All these are the general sources which are present nearby the human beings. Okay, or we are facing them or expose them, and these are emitting radioisotopes or the radiations. Okay, now this is the general image which I found on the internet, that the data is from 2021, and they have checked the radiation of each uh, company's mobile. Okay, but we are not interested in this brands. What we can see it is a 1.79 SAR level, that is weight per kg, 1.26, 1.171, 0.99. So this much amount of energy is produced every time. Okay. And the gadget, the source is on our hand continuously. Okay. And nowadays we are not able to live without that source. So this is a news which came in the paper, that is a mobile tower radiation fears grips Andheri colony. Okay. So what they've studied, that is ICMR is working on a study on the radiation emitted by mobile phones. However, they will be a Delhi centric study. Okay. So what happened, that society, because of this mobile tower, the society has witnessed 15 cancer cases in the 5 cases or 5 years. Okay. So this was a too much old news. Okay. But by looking at these things, you can imagine how much these things are, or the radiations are hazardous or harmful to the human beings. Okay. So this is the mobile tower is in the Shere Punjab colony, that is in the Andheri East. Okay. So along with that, what are the hazardous effects you can observe because of the one gadget which is in our hand continuously? Okay. While sleeping, you keep with nearby your head. Okay. And either it is in your pocket. So it is responsible for high rate blood pressure and high heart rate. Then ECG, sorry, electroencephalogram altered. That means to check the brain functioning, like we are doing ECG. electrocardiogram, same like that is a electroencephalogram. Okay, that is a we check the waves or the impulse of the brain. Okay, what we can observe, cognitive function alters and melatonin secretion alter. Okay, so both are involved for the normal processes of the day-to-day life. Okay, other is fatigue, burning near ear, headache, numbness, okay, and lack of concentration. Other thing is the sperm motility decreases, viability, morphology, okay, OS and DNA. There are the normal things that you can observe affect on the reproductive system. Now, what we can do to control nuclear pollution? Okay, that is a setting of nuclear power plant uh, should be carefully done after studying long-term and short-term effects. Okay, and should be away from the human habitation. So there should be a advice should be taken. Okay, or you can do it underground. Then proper disposal of waste from laboratory involving the use of radioisotopes should be done. Then nuclear medicines and nuclear radiation therapies should be applied when necessary with a minimum dose. Those who are working with the radiations, for them it is helpful. And there should be no hazard to human being and plants also. Okay? So these things should we also should take in a consideration. So in today's lecture, what we have understood or what we have studied, that is a nuclear uh, radiation. Okay. So what we have studied, that is what is an ionizing radiation and non-ionizing radiation. Okay. That is alpha, beta, gamma rays. Then what are different types of rays? What is actually nuclear hazards and what are health risks? So along with the sources, effects, and how can you control this nuclear pollution or the radiations which are responsible for the hazards, okay, of you on the human being.